Well, I want to say thank you very much for joining us for this second segment of our series in Christ in Our Neighborhood called Treasures Found. And hopefully you'll have an opportunity to listen to our brothers and sisters within the African American community. It's not a time for us to dialogue, it's a time to simply listen. And today we are very blessed to have Cortez Tarbor joining us, and he is a member of the Pastoral Center here in our finance office. So he's a very important person. He makes sure that all of our beans are counted perfectly. And Cortez, maybe if you wouldn't mind, we're going to get right to the first question. What is racism to you?
Racism to me is when, and it can be to anyone, not just African Americans or Black people, but it's just when someone holds an opinion about you before they even know you for the most part, and they treat you a certain way just because of who you are or how they what they identify you to be. So really, that's what it is, and it's really just bias, And sometimes it could be intentional, and sometimes I definitely believe it can be unintentional, So that's pretty much what racism is to me for the most part, just generally speaking, that is. Yeah.
Okay, very good. No, I appreciate that. I've been asking this question, but I have another question for you, and that is within our own culture, within specifically the United States culture, it's an obvious reality that African Americans had a very dire history, which began 400 years ago. But what would you say, what does our society, what does the United States culture offer you as an African American man and the wider culture of the African American community? I know it's a broad question, but maybe you can take a stab at it.
What do they offer? Well, there are many, I'm thinking off the top of my head, there are many things that I would like to say that society does to attempt to make amends for some of the struggles that we've gone through. But I don't think in my opinion, I don't think they are looking at it or going about it the right way. Sometimes you can throw something at a situation and it's not really fixing or helping the situation. You need to get to the root of the situation before you can actually resolve it. If you're putting a Band-Aid on something, it's not really fixing it. It's just putting a Band-Aid on. It's not healing. You've got a wound this big, a Band-Aid is not going to take it. You got to actually get in there. You got to see what the situation is to the root of the problem, and then you need to fix it from a different perspective. And I think the way the country is approaching it is not the right way. And when I say they're putting a Band-Aid on it, like for instance, just throwing money at a situation does not fix the situation all the time. You need to start at the bottom, and you need to work. I can get into this a little bit more detail, but I don't want to. But you need to see what the root of the problem is, basically what I think, and then you need to start at a point and just say, okay, from this point on, we're going to fix it from here on out. Unfortunately, we can't fix all of the past, but we can start at this point, which I think the country is attempting to do, but I don't think they're doing it in the best way or the right way. Mm-hmm. So I'll just leave it at that. I hope that answers the question.
No, it does, and I appreciate that, because I think I have come to this idea that perhaps more than anything, in order to get to the root of this reality and not just the surface with a Band-Aid, is to listen. And that's kind of the point of these sessions, is to listen. And I know there are other opportunities for people to listen that are out there on the web, and people are taking some great efforts to make sure that listening is an important part of this whole process, because people can share their opinions, but listening is absolutely essential. So with that, though, I'm going to turn it a little bit and say, what do you, Cortez, as an African-American man, what do you bring to the table, or what are you offering to our society, specifically as a Black man, but maybe you can go generically, what does the African American community, the culture, offer our particular society as a whole?
Oh, just what does the African man offer society, or what do I offer society?
A little bit of both, either one.
Okay. Oh wow, African man. You know what? That varies. That's so broad. I don't know that I can actually answer that question. What does the African man bring, offer society? It's so broad. I really don't think I can answer that, because I think it varies too much, just in general. And you know, the struggle for African American men. You know, unfortunately, okay, where I come from. Maybe I should just digress and say where I come from. I come from the projects of Chicago. So I've seen things at its worst, you know, and where I was going to go, how I was going to answer this question is, what do I bring to society? What I was going to say is, I bring my kids. You know, I have 2 kids. Yeah, exactly. And the way I raised them, I want to say, is not how I was raised. And not that I was raised in a bad way, but I tell my kids all the time, you know what? I started at this level, and I'm starting you at a different level. And I don't want you to have to go through the same struggles that I went through. And of course, there are going to be some obstacles in your way, but this is the way you handle those obstacles. Not the way that people in my past handle those obstacles, not the way I handle the obstacles. I need you to handle them this way. So I want to say, maybe teaching my kids to be handle things in a different way, in a better way. And I can see it in my daughter. She's 21 years old, and you know, she's you know, we have conversations and everything. So I would say the people, or my children, that I've brought into this world, I'm bringing them into the society to handle things in a different way. You know, because when I was growing up, people handled things in a maybe I should say an aggressive way. Mm-hmm. You know, and that's not always the way to handle things. So if you look at things, and just like you said in the very beginning, listen and hear what people's needs are, and then therefore, you know, respond to that. You know, if somebody's responding in anger or hostility, you got to see what their past is sometimes. You know, even if it's against you, see what their past is, see where they're coming from, see what they mean by that, because you know what, maybe it's a misunderstanding on their part. Once you get an understanding of things, maybe you can come to a happy medium. And sometimes you can't. There's some people you can't change, and some people you can. So there you go. I hope that answers that question.
You did, and I really appreciate that. And as
Sure.
as I'm you know, as I said, that these are just samplings of moments to listen, and I really appreciate it. Cortez, thank you very much. And
you're very welcome.
If you want to, you can go right back to counting and our money, and making sure that we're still solvent as a church. So, thank you very much. You're a true blessing to us here at the Pastors.
Oh, thank you, Bishop. I really appreciate the time.
All right. God bless you. You have a great day.
You too. All right. Thank you.
And thank you all for joining us here at Christ in Our Neighborhood.